Have you ever been punched in the gut by life so hard that you felt like staying down would just be easier? Maybe it was a dream that didn't work out, a plan that blew up in your face, or a moment where everything you believed in fell apart. Most people stop right there. They let that moment define them. But here's the truth. The people you admire, the ones you think have it all together, they've failed more times than you've even tried. The only difference? They didn't stay down. They got back up. Again, and again, and again. Today I'm here to tell you something most people won't. If you want to succeed, you have to fail. Not once, not twice. You have to fail fast, fail often, and fail forward, because every failure is a teacher, every fall is a stepping stone, and every comeback is proof that you're becoming unstoppable. So buckle up, because by the end of this talk, you won't just look
Failure
at failure
is one of the
differently,
most
you'll
misunderstood
crave it.
experiences
You'll
in
see
life.
it as the fastest
Most
way
people
to grow,
see it
to
as a
rise,
stop
and to
sign,
build
a reason
life
to
where
quit,
giving up is
or
no
even as
longer an
proof
option.
that they were never meant to succeed in the first place. But the truth is, failure is the very first teacher on the road to mastery. It is the alarm clock that wakes you up from complacency and forces you to reevaluate your approach. Instead of being the end of your story, it is often the exact moment your real story begins. When you fail, you get a chance to see what doesn't work. That may sound simple, but it is one of the most powerful realizations you can ever have. Knowing what doesn't work is what saves you from wasting years, repeating the same mistake blindly. Every failed attempt is a filter that removes an ineffective method from your life, leaving behind the strategies that actually move you closer to your goal. The beauty of failure is that it teaches you what success never can: humility, resilience, and patience. Success can make you feel invincible, but failure reminds you that you are still learning and growing. This keeps you grounded, focused, and hungry for more. People who have never failed often lack the depth and wisdom to sustain success when they finally achieve it. Those who fail and get back up are the ones who develop the strength to carry the weight of greatness. Failure is also a mirror. It reflects back to you not just your mistakes, but also your mindset. When something doesn't go your way, you discover how much you truly want it. If your desire is weak, failure will be the excuse you use to quit. But if your desire is strong, failure becomes the fire that fuels your persistence. The way you respond to failure says more about you than the failure itself ever could. Every person you admire has a trail of failures behind them. The best athletes, entrepreneurs, leaders, and creators have failed more times than most people have even tried. They don't wear their failures as shame, they wear them as badges of honor. They know each failure taught them something that made them sharper, stronger, and more capable than before. The reason they seem unstoppable is because they've learned to treat failure as part of the process, not as a punishment. The shift in mindset happens when you stop seeing failure as a dead end and start seeing it as feedback. When you touch a hot stove and burn your hand, you don't give up on cooking forever, you simply learn not to touch the stove next time. Failure works the same way. It is not the universe telling you no. It is the universe telling you, not like that. And if you listen closely, you will hear the lesson hidden inside every painful experience. When you embrace failure as a beginning, you give yourself permission to experiment, to take risks, and to grow faster than most people ever will. Playing it safe might keep you from failing, but it will also keep you from discovering your full potential. The people who go the farthest are not the ones who never fail, but the ones who fail, learn, and then try again with better insight. Failure also builds emotional muscle. Just as lifting weights tears your muscle fibers so they can grow back stronger, failing tears your ego so it can come back tougher. The first time you fail, it hurts deeply. But the more you face it, the more you develop resilience. You stop fearing it because you've survived it before, and you know you can survive it again. This perspective transforms failure from something you dread into something you welcome. You begin to see it as a shortcut to wisdom, a fast track to the lessons that most people avoid learning. You no longer wait for the perfect plan or the perfect moment, because you know, even if you stumble, you will rise smarter. And finally, failure reminds you that you are alive and in the game. People who never fail are often the ones who never try. Every failure proves that you are taking action, chasing something bigger than yourself, and refusing to live a small, safe, regret-filled life. Failure is not the end, it is your invitation to keep going. Armed with better knowledge and stronger willpower than you had yesterday, speed matters in everything you do, including failure. Many people spend their entire lives waiting for the perfect plan, the perfect timing, or the perfect idea before they take their first step. But perfection never comes. Instead, they end up wasting years of their lives in hesitation. The truth is, the sooner you start, the sooner you will discover what works and what doesn't. And the sooner you discover what doesn't work, the sooner you can pivot and move closer to the right solution. Reckless or careless. It's about taking action before fear has a chance to paralyze you. You launch your idea, you take the shot, you make the move, and then you see what happens. If it fails, you adjust and try again. The faster you repeat this cycle, the faster you eliminate bad strategies and refine good ones. When you fail slowly, or worse, when you avoid failing altogether, you stay stuck in the same place. You sit with your untested ideas and wonder why nothing is happening in your life. You think you're protecting yourself from pain, but what you're really doing is protecting yourself from progress. Every day you delay action is another day you postpone your breakthrough. Failing fast allows you to learn through experience rather than theory. Reading books, watching videos, and thinking about success are useful, but they are no substitute for the wisdom gained by actually trying and failing. There are lessons you can only learn by doing, and the faster you do, the sooner you collect those lessons and turn them into momentum. The faster you fail, the less attached you become to any single attempt. When you put all your hope into one perfect plan, its failure feels like the end of the world. But when you make it a habit to try again and again, failure becomes just one step in a long series. You stop taking it personally and start seeing it as part of the process. This emotional detachment is what allows you to keep going when most people quit. Faster failure also means faster feedback. Imagine a scientist running experiments. If she only runs one experiment a year, she will make very slow progress. But if she runs 10 experiments a month, she will learn 10 times as much in the same amount of time. Your life works the same way. Every failed attempt is data that helps you build a better version of yourself. It is important to understand that speed doesn't mean rushing without thinking. It means acting decisively and being willing to correct course quickly. Instead of getting stuck in analysis paralysis, you give yourself permission to try something, observe the result, and then adapt. This makes you agile, flexible, and much harder to defeat. Failing fast also kills fear faster. The first failure is usually the hardest. It stings, it bruises the ego, and it makes you want to hide. But when you fail again soon after and again after that, you begin to realize it's not as scary as it seemed. You build immunity to the pain of failure, which frees you to take even bolder actions. The people who seem lucky are often the ones who fail the fastest. They tried more things than anyone else, and in the process, they stumbled on the right formula sooner. They didn't wait for life to hand them an opportunity. They created their own opportunities by moving, testing, and learning. You can do the same by increasing the speed at which you act and the speed at which you recover. In the end, failing fast is really about living fast, not recklessly, but intentionally. You refuse to let fear slow you down, you refuse to stay stuck in endless planning, and you refuse to waste time on what doesn't work. You give yourself permission to discover the right path by first walking down the wrong ones. And the faster you do this, the faster you will arrive at the destination you've been dreaming of all along. Failure has a strange way of feeling final, as though it is proof you are not capable. But in reality, every single failure you experience is simply one wrong path eliminated. Think of it like solving a maze. Every dead end you hit is not wasted effort, it is valuable information. It tells you where not to go next time, and that knowledge gets you closer to the right path. This mindset completely changes the way you see failure. Instead of beating yourself up for making a mistake, you start to celebrate the fact that you just discovered one more approach that doesn't work. That discovery is progress. It's like crossing an option off a list. With every cross out, the list becomes shorter and the chances of picking the right answer become higher. When Thomas Edison was asked about failing thousands of times before inventing the light bulb, he said he didn't fail, he simply found thousands of ways that wouldn't work. That is the perfect example of this principle. Each failure was not a defeat, but a necessary step toward the final breakthrough. If he had stopped after the first few, the light bulb might never have been invented. When Thomas Edison was asked about failing thousands of times before inventing the light bulb, he said he didn't fail, he simply found thousands of ways that wouldn't work. Teaches you what the market really wants. That is the perfect example of this principle. Every failed conversation teaches you a better way to communicate, but a necessary step toward the final breakthrough. You are never back at zero after failure. If he had stopped after the first few, the wisdom you gained from that experience might never have been invented. The same principle applies to you. Every failed relationship teaches you what qualities you truly value in a partner. Every failed business attempt teaches you what the market really wants. Every failed conversation teaches you a better way to communicate. You are never back at zero. After failure, you are always carrying forward the wisdom you gained from that experience. When you realize this, you stop fearing failure and start seeking it. You begin to understand that the more you fail, the more wrong paths you eliminate, and the closer you get to the right one. You almost get excited when something doesn't work, because you know it's just part of the narrowing down process that will eventually reveal the solution. This way of thinking builds perseverance. Most people quit because they think failure means they are incapable. But when you understand that failure is just data, you see no reason to stop. You simply take the data, adjust your plan, and keep moving forward with more precision than before. This also prevents you from wasting time repeating the same mistakes. If you treat failure as a teacher instead of an enemy, you won't stubbornly try the same approach over and over again. You'll be smarter. You'll ask, "What did this failure just teach me?" and then apply that lesson immediately to your next attempt. The closer you get to success, the harder the failures sometimes feel. But that's because you're getting more precise, closer to the bullseye. It's like mining for gold. The deeper you dig, the harder the work gets. But you're also getting closer to the treasure. Every wrong strike brings you nearer to the moment you hit something valuable. Your job is not to avoid wrong paths, but to find them quickly and cross them off. The more wrong turns you identify, the fewer you have left to face. Every single mistake, every single rejection, every single no you get is bringing you closer to the yes that will change your life. So, instead of feeling crushed by failure, see it as progress. You are not lost. You are not stuck. You are simply refining your direction, getting sharper, and cutting away what doesn't belong. Every failure you face is secretly saying, "This isn't the way." But keep going, you're getting closer. And if you keep walking, keep trying, and keep learning, you will eventually find the right way, and when you do, every wrong step will have been worth it. Falling hurts, there's no denying it. Whether it's a failed business, a broken dream, or a personal setback, the moment you hit the ground, you feel the pain. But here's what most people forget. Falling means you were moving. It means you took a step, you dared to try, you put yourself in motion towards something meaningful. People who never fall are usually the ones who never take risks, never step out of their comfort zone, and never discover what they're capable of. Falling is proof of courage. You stood up, faced the uncertainty, and went for something that mattered to you. The world is full of people who sit on the sidelines, watching others chase their dreams, criticizing from a distance. But you stepped into the arena. You might have fallen, but you did something they never dared to do. That already sets you apart. The real danger isn't falling, it's staying down once you've fallen. Many people let a single mistake define them. They wrap themselves in shame and tell themselves a story that they are a failure. But there is a big difference between failing and being a failure. Failing is an event. Being a failure is a choice. The moment you decide to stay down and never try again, that's when failure becomes permanent. Life is like learning to walk. As babies, we fall hundreds of times before we take our first successful steps. If falling were a reason to quit, none of us would be walking today. But we don't see those falls as failures, we see them as part of the process. Somewhere along the way, we forget that truth. We start expecting perfection from ourselves as adults, when in reality, falling is still how we learn. Every time you fall, you gain information about your limits, your weaknesses, and what needs to be improved. You gain emotional toughness. You discover whether your dream is strong enough to pull you back onto your feet. Staying down, falling is like a test. It asks you, how badly do you want this? It kills your confidence. Those who get back up answer your momentum, with action, not your belief in yourself. It turns one bad moment into a lifelong regret. You start living small, avoiding risks, and telling yourself that you are safer this way, but deep down, you know you're just avoiding the chance to get hurt again. And that avoidance robs you of growth. What separates champions from everyone else is not that they never fall, it's that they never stay down. Every athlete, entrepreneur, artist, and leader has moments where they crash hard. But they refuse to make the ground their home. They use the fall as a springboard to push back even harder. When you get back up after falling, you send a message to yourself and to the world. I am not done yet. That act alone rebuilds your confidence. You feel stronger, more alive, and more unstoppable than before. Rising after a fall is one of the most empowering experiences a human being can have, because it reminds you that you are not defined by what happened to you, but by what you do next. Falling is not failure, it is training. Every stumble builds resilience. Every bruise builds character. Every scar tells a story of survival. Instead of fearing the fall, expect it, embrace it, and plan your rise before you even hit the ground. That way, when you fall, and you will, you already know the next step. The truth is, you were never meant to stay down. You are built to rise. Gravity may pull you to the ground, but hope, determination, and purpose will always pull you back up. Falling is a sign that you are alive, that you are fighting, and that you are learning. Staying down is the only real failure, and that is a choice you never have to make. Pain is one of the most powerful forces you will ever encounter in life. It can stop you in your tracks, knock the wind out of you, and make you question why you even started. But pain has a secret that most people never discover. It does not last forever. Pain is fleeting, temporary, like a storm that eventually passes. The suffering you feel today will not be the same tomorrow, but what remains after the storm are the lessons, the wisdom, and the strength you gain. When you go through pain, you grow in ways comfort could never allow. Comfort keeps you soft, stagnant, and untested. Pain, however, pushes you to confront your limits. It forces you to adapt, to think differently, to rise higher than you ever thought possible. And when the pain eventually fades, you are left standing taller, wiser, and far more prepared for the next challenge. The temporary nature of pain is what makes it bearable. In the middle of a difficult season, it might feel endless, like the night will never end. But look back at the painful moments of your past. You survived them. You are still here. The pain ended, but the lessons you learned stayed with you. Those lessons shaped your mindset, your resilience, and your ability to handle future struggles. When you learn to focus on the permanent lessons instead of the temporary suffering, everything changes. You stop asking, why me? And start asking, what is this teaching me? That shift takes you from being a victim of your pain to being a student of it. You start seeing pain as an instructor rather than an enemy. Think of physical training. When you lift weights, you feel pain in your muscles. That pain doesn't last, but the strength you build does. Life's challenges work the same way. The heartbreak, the failure,
the setback, none of it lasts forever, but the character you develop while pushing through it stays with you for the rest of your life. The people who achieve greatness are not the ones who avoid pain, they are the ones who endure it long enough to extract its lesson. They know that pain is a price worth paying for wisdom. They see suffering as an investment in their future strength. They endure the short-term struggle because they know the reward is a lifetime of growth. The danger is when you let temporary pain make you quit permanently. Too many people stop right before the breakthrough because the pain becomes unbearable for a moment. They trade a lifetime of potential for a moment of relief. But if they had held on a little longer, they would have discovered that the pain was only temporary, and what they would have gained was priceless. Pain also teaches you empathy. When you suffer, you understand what others go through. This makes you a kinder, more compassionate person. It allows you to connect with others deeply, to encourage them, to remind them that their pain won't last either. Your wounds become a source of healing for others. The key is to remember that pain is not a permanent state, it is a passage. It is taking you somewhere, shaping you, preparing you for the next chapter. The worst thing you can do is stop in the middle of it. Keep walking through it until you emerge on the other side, stronger and wiser than before. Life will never be a straight line. It will knock you down, sometimes harder than you ever imagined. But every single keynote we've explored is a reminder that falling is not the enemy staying down island. You are not defined by the number of times you fall, but by the number of times you rise. And every rise makes you stronger, wiser, and closer to the version of yourself that can handle the success you dream of. Failure is not a verdict. It is an invitation to grow, to learn, to shed the parts of you that can't carry the weight of your destiny. Each time you get back up, you are proving that you are more than your setbacks. You are building resilience, brick by brick, comeback by comeback. That process transforms you into someone who no longer fears failure but uses it as a stepping stone. The truth is, greatness doesn't belong to the smartest or the luckiest. It belongs to the ones who refuse to quit. It belongs to the people who are willing to fail faster, learn faster, and rise stronger. It belongs to the relentless. The world eventually bows to those who keep getting back up because nothing can stop someone who won't stop themselves. Your story is still being written. Whatever failure you're facing right now is not your ending, it's just the tension before the breakthrough. One more try could be the moment everything changes. And if not, then one more after that. As long as you keep rising, you stay in the game. And as long as you stay in the game, you still have a chance to win. So, take this message with you. Fail faster, rise stronger, and never ever give up. Let every setback be fuel. Let every scar remind you of your strength. And let every comeback shape you into someone unstoppable. Because the secret to never giving up is simple. You just refuse to stay down.